Welcome to Am I the Butthole, where OP tells her sister-in-law that she should not have had a son if she could not raise him. This suggestion from OP has caused a divide in the family. I, 34-year-old female, have been married to my husband, Oliver, 36-year-old male, for 8 years. We have 2 kids, 5M and 3F. My husband's older sister, Jane, 39-year-old female, has always been a bit of a free spirit, never one to settle down. She moves from one job to another, has lived in different cities, and generally does her own thing. 2 years ago, Jane sent a bombshell when she announced that she was expecting a baby. The father was some guy she had been casually seeing for several months, though the two of them were not actually in a committed relationship. Despite all this, Jane decided to keep the baby and raise him by herself. I was supportive despite my concerns because of her history of being somewhat irresponsible and impulsive. After giving birth to her son Max, she relocated back to our hometown to be closer to the family, but she has been struggling, constantly overwhelmed, exhausted, complaining about how hard it is to be a single mom. Literally, every time we see her, she is either on the verge of tears or completely frazzled. She often drops off her son, who is just 1-year-old, at our house, sometimes with little or no notice. My husband and I have been doing our best to help out, but it is becoming increasingly difficult to manage our lives while taking on much of the responsibility of co-parenting her son. A few days ago, my sister-in-law showed up at our house, once again distraught. She started complaining, telling me about how hard it is to be a mother and how she feels she is losing herself. I tried to be understanding, but finally, after listening to her complain for what felt like the 100th time, I snapped. All I said was that I loved her, but she should have thought about how hard it would be to raise a child on her own before deciding to keep the baby. I said that now it wasn't fair for her to expect everyone else to pick up the slack because she had made a choice without thinking about the consequences of it. She looked devastated. She started to cry and told me that I was judging her and being cruel to her. She felt that I, of all people, would understand because I, too, am a mother, and it was uncalled for to hear from me that she had made a mistake. Teary-eyed, she left my house, and now she hardly speaks to me. My husband feels I was harsh, yet at the same time, he understands my frustration. My parents are furious with me too. They say I should have been more considerate. I have been thinking about it a lot, and I feel deep inside that I should not have offended my sister-in-law. At the same time, I knew she was having a tough time, but I needed her to see some things as they play out in practical life. Being a parent is not easy, and while I understand her plight, I don't think it's right for us to always bail her out every time she cries her eyes out. I have my family to look after, and I am growing resentful that we are being pulled into her mess. Now, the whole family is divided. Some feel that I stepped out of line and that I should apologize to Jane, while others feel she needed to hear it, even if it was cruel. I am torn because I love my sister-in-law. Yet at the same time, I also feel she needs to acknowledge her choices. AITA for telling my sister-in-law that if she wasn't ready for the responsibility, then she shouldn't have kids? OP is not an AH here, but she could have been more considerate to her sister-in-law because she is struggling with raising her baby. So, I would rate OP 0 out of 5 on the AH scale. As for OP's sister-in-law, she is an AH for having a baby when she knew she cannot raise him. So, I would give her 2.5 out of 5 on the AH scale. Let's now move on to another Am I the AH, where OP pressure his pregnant ex-girlfriend to pay off his debt. Well, I'm looking for some perspective here. Recently, I, 30-year-old male, broke up with my girlfriend Clara, 28-year-old female, after she admitted she got pregnant with another guy's baby. In fact, this was a big shock to me because she had always insisted that this guy was just a friend. We'd been together for almost 3 years, and at no time in that period did I ever suspect that she was cheating on me. We had even talked about marriage, kids, and a lot of things that now meant nothing as she dropped the bombshell of pregnancy on me. Matters only got worse as Clara and I had shared a credit card over the last year. It was supposed to be for joint expenses like groceries and bills. Over time, though, it started to rack up pretty serious debt. She had used it for personal purchases too, stuff like clothes and makeup and a new phone she just had to get. We had always agreed on the issue of splitting the payments, but now that the balance is sitting at around 120,000 pesos, about $2,200. After the breakup, I tried to cut ties with Clara as much as possible. The harassing calls from the credit card company, however, made the debt reality something I had to address. I contacted Clara, hoping she was responsible enough to take care of her part of the debt. I explained to her that I couldn't afford to pay all of it myself, and she needed to step up and pay what was owed by her. Her response? She said she couldn't pay because all her money was going toward her pregnancy and preparing for the baby. I understand that a baby is expensive, but at the same time, I find it unfair that she has left me hanging with the debt. I tried reasoning with her, explaining how we both agreed to use the card and that she should be responsible for her part. Instead, she did something else entirely, turning the tables on me. Clara justifies this by referring to the stress it is causing her during her pregnancy, stating it is affecting her health, and how selfish it is of me to demand money from her when she is having such a difficult time. She further went on to say that if I was mature and wanted to be the bigger person, I would agree to meet her new boyfriend and discuss the debt with him. To wit, he was willing to help her financially, but he wanted to understand the situation first. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. It gives me the creeps even to think about sitting with the guy she cheated on me with, asking him for money. I feel I shouldn't have to involve him at all. Clara is the one who owes me money, not him. But at the same time, I need that money to pay off the debt, and options are running out. I do not want to appear petty or desperate, but I also don't want Clara to get off scot-free. My friends were split on what to do. Some said I should at least meet with her boyfriend and hear him out, that if he was willing to help, then take the money and be done with it. Others still think that I ought to keep pressing Clara directly and refuse to involve her boyfriend at all. They say it is her responsibility and that I should not have to deal with the guy who caused this whole mess in the first place. So, now I'm in a catch-22. Do I swallow my pride, meet with her boyfriend, and try to settle this? Or do I keep pressing Clara for payment, knowing that will make things 1,000 times more stressful for her being pregnant? AITA for refusing to have to mess with her boyfriend and demanding my ex-girlfriend pay me directly, even if this makes me look like the bad guy? OP is not an AH because her ex-girlfriend is responsible for paying her debt, not the guy with whom she cheated on OP. If these demands are really stressful for her, she should pay OP's money, or if her new boyfriend is willing to pay, she should talk to him without involving OP. It seems she is asking OP to meet her new boyfriend to make him uncomfortable, thinking that OP would not ask for the money. So, OP is not an AH, and I would rate her 0 out of 5 on the AH scale. OP's ex-girlfriend is a big AH and deserves at least 3 out of 5 on the AH scale. What do the Mac Reddit fans think? Is the OP an AH or not? Let me know in the comment section below. If you like the stories I brought you, just hit the like button, share them as much as you can, and don't forget to subscribe to Mac Reddit for a daily dose. Bye bye, see you tomorrow with some more spicy fries.